What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 52 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the coolest dudes in video games. On my other side, and it's kind of weird, Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller.
It's good to be here with you today.
Now today, it's January 5th, 2016. It's our 1 year anniversary of doing this full time, doing that whole thing. We're doing
the
a stream.
escape.
Yeah, it is the escape. We're going to do our Game of the Year discussion. It's going to be exciting. We haven't really talked about what that means or
I have no idea what this show is going to be or how it's going to go.
But what you guys do know is what the first three topics of this show are, and that is each of our top 10 favorite games of 2015.
Gotcha.
We're not talking best games. We're not talking,
These
games,
are our favorite games.
These
of the
are
year.
our favorite games of 2015.
Sure. Okay.
So we're going to do all that. Colin had the brilliant idea. I didn't tell you about this yet, Greg, but it's going to be easy for you. We're going to do them in alphabetical order.
That's going to be easy for me. All right.
Well, I mean, it's, one of the first things you learn ever.
But I have to go through the alphabet every time. I got to go through the alphabet every time I do it.
Well, this is why you write them down like this.
Yeah, but I put them on the internet and on the iPad.
I'm sorry. Well, you'll have time to do it. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about our favorite games in alphabetical order because we don't want to, get people on the scent for the Game of the Year discussion, which is the final topic. Now, during that topic, we'll talk about what that even means for Kind of Funny.
Okay.
And how we're going to do. Are we going to have one game? Or are we each going to just choose one?
We have to figure that out.
There?
We've never figured that out.
We'll figure it out. That's going to be a fun old time. For those of you that don't know, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. It's a show where every week we talk about all the cool things happening in video games or just whatever we really want to talk about in relation to video games. Now, today is a little bit different because while we were recording this, we are also live streaming over on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Kind of Funny Games, to all the big, beautiful kids out there in support of Kind of Funny, the animated series. If you haven't seen that, go to youtube.com/Kind of Funny, watch that video. Then go to patreon.com/Kind of Funny, support to make more of those shows happen. It's going to be good for all of you. Now, if you want to support this show, you go to patreon.com/Kind of Funny Games. That's a whole other thing, but it's good there too. If you don't want to do that, youtube.com/Kind of Funny Games. How many URLs can I say before this gets excessive?
You could say, you could just go to the brand new kindoffunny.com.
That is very true.
All of it's there for you.
Yes, kindoffunny.com is new and improved, and it is amazing. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff there, and as of right now, should be working perfectly.
Right.
That's what I hear.
I got to go be in the chat room on the front page of it.
Oh, yeah, there's a new chat, so you can log in with your forum account, username, and then just chat away.
Yeah.
It's like Twitch, but on our own website.
Exactly.
But better, because it's ours. Yes. All right, I'm going to start this one off. Obviously, I'm the most Tim out of the three of us.
You are the most Tim out of us. I've always said that about you.
When it comes to these video games. So it's like, I feel like my list is going to be a little bit the most different out of all of this. Maybe Colin's is going to have a bit more of the obscure, randomy things going on because you are one, Colin Moriarty.
Sure.
You are
He's
the most
Colin of among.
That is true. That is true.
No one.
I'm coming for you though, Greg.
To be the most Greg?
Yeah,
all right.
We'll see. But I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to start this off right. About a week ago, a little game came out called Amplitude.
Ooh.
There is no better A game than Amplitude. I want to tell you guys all about my favorite game of all time.
Now, we're counting when it came out for Kickstarters, presumably, because it did come out today.
That's the thing. My list, my rules.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm making shit up. I played the hell out of this game in 2015.
Yeah, sure.
And that was my whole break, was
That works
playing
for me.
this game. So the original came out in 2002. I've talked about it many times on the show as being one of those random games that I really latched on to and loved. And I played the living hell out of that growing up and just like getting better and better and better at it. And I'd play through every difficulty. And I actually wanted to get better scores just for myself. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like, it meant something to me to beat each song on insane difficulty and whatever. So I would play through that. And then I remember once Guitar Hero started and once then Rock Band and all of this stuff, I was really into those games. Love all of them. I'm a big fan of rhythm games in general. But none of them were Amplitude. And I was always like, man, like I wish that we can get that again.
Sure.
Then we got Rock Band Unplugged on the PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, it was amazing and awesome. They should have just made that again.
Yeah, and I was really, 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 really happy with it because I was like, all right, this is essentially Amplitude, but Rock Bandified. I'll take it. Like, that's the closest we're ever going to get. Then we got a game called Rock Band Blitz that was a downloadable title for the PS3 and Xbox 360. And it was Rock Band Unplugged, but on consoles, but even more.
But not nearly as good as Rock Band
and
Unplugged.
really, really, really dumbed down. So the problem there was that it would take any songs you had in any of the rock bands and just kind of like based on how it sounds, assign beat matching and stuff. So it was kind of just like it felt like a fan made game overall. And I didn't play it for more than like 2 hours total, I think. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden they announced this Kickstarter and I'm like, oh my God, like we're actually going to get another Amplitude game. Now, I'd played Frequency 2, big Frequency fan. I prefer Amplitude over it. But then we heard that this game's going to have the Frequency Tunnel as well. And I'm like, man, okay, they're really kind of giving the people what they want with this thing. Let me see if I get my hands on it. I played it a bit at events and stuff. And I loved it at every event I played it at. And I was like, oh crap, they nailed this. It's Amplitude. And what does that mean? To me, that means it's the most perfect music, like rhythm game, because it is literally about making the music as you go. Guitar Hero and Rock Band, they're a bit more about like, if you hit the notes, it kind of feels like you're playing it, but really it's just more like, yeah, we're just having you hit things when it sounds like the music's playing. Whereas with Amplitude, like you're literally playing each instrument, and if you don't do them, that track just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it compared to any other rhythm game I've ever played, it's way more exact, and it's way more like you use the shoulder buttons and stuff, and it's not just like things like DDR where there's the beat. There's every like the fourth notes, eighth notes, 30 seconds, 16, whatever. That's it. With Amplitude, that's all out the window. It's down to the millisecond of when the actual thing's happening, because a lot of it's like drum and bass tracks and stuff like that. So it's all over the place. I don't know the drum verbiage and stuff.
The nomenclature is
exactly.
The hi-hat, snare.
There's definitely hi-hats and snares.
Kick drum.
Yeah.
Give me 4/8 of a kick drum right now.
4/8 of a kick.
What's that mean, Colin?
4/8 of a kick drum. I never heard that particular term.
You didn't grow up in the streets of Glen Ellen like I did.
No, I certainly didn't.
Anyways, so I've been playing this game now. A big thing about the original Amplitude was so Frequency had a lot of this like music no one's ever heard of. Some like drum and bass stuff that I guess is popular to people that know that music,
EDM.
but to people that didn't know electronic music, it's like new, right?
Sure.
Then Amplitude came out and it had Blink 182 and it had POD and it had Slipknot and it had No Doubt and all these like random things. Not No Doubt, garbage. Wow. And
Shirley Manson.
It
used to love her.
It kind of introduced me to a whole bunch of music and stuff, which is my favorite thing about music games. But that's kind of why I loved it, was it had this eclectic range of different styles and different genres and stuff. I'm kind of treating this as my Amplitude review because we didn't get a chance to.
This is like the game we haven't talked about.
Exactly, and it means so much to me that I'm like, I got to give this game its praise. So then this game came out, and we knew early on because of the Kickstarter and stuff that there wasn't going to be licensed music. All the music was going to be either from Kickstarters themselves or made by Harmonix or from their friends and stuff like that, just like or from other games.
Yeah,
just like
Transistor's in there, a couple of games.
Transistor by 311?
No, Transistor the game by Supergiant.
One of the
Games.
best albums of all time.
And I started playing it, and instantly it's like, all right, this is Amplitude. It's the beat matching to that exact moment. And you start playing it, and you start remembering the rhythm and shit. And it does that thing music games do, where you just get in the zone. But Amplitude does it differently. Where Guitar Hero, you start going, and it's just like, whoa, I can't believe I got to do that. Because Amplitude is set, so it's track by track. You make the music for this instrument happen, then move on. But there's a split second to move tracks over. So it's like you need to be like kind of multi-managing everything at once. You just get lost in it, and you just get that tunnel vision and just in the zone of what you're doing. And it's unlike any game I've ever played. Like I just get entranced by it, and especially you put on headphones and just go. Yeah. You always talk about this idea of VR, just getting lost in something. I would love to just sit with Amplitude and just go. And you start playing through the songs, and it's all like the single player is the campaign. It's a 15-song concept record, which is kind of cool. It's a cool idea. It's like this woman's in a coma, and it's like they're trying to like get her out of it, and it's like what's in her head, and like she hears all these people talking to her and stuff around her as she's in the coma.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, she wakes up at the end.
Oh my God.
If you win. If you don't win, she doesn't win.
Does she have like use of her arms and legs and stuff?
No,
have they atrophied? How long has she been in the coma? Did doctors think she'd get out of the coma?
They didn't, no.
Does she have like full range of motion? Can she cognitive abilities where they should be?
You go through a cognitive sector. That's about as close to the information I can give you.
I don't know
on
if that checks out medically.
Yeah. Anyways, it was really cool, and I remember playing the songs for the first time, being like, all right, whatever. Like these songs aren't memorable to me. And then they get stuck in my head. And now they're still stuck in my head. I can't tell them apart, but I'm like, oh, every time I'm thinking of it, a different song is stuck in my head. So I'm like, all right, they did something right. Like, these are catchy and memorable for what they are. Biggest flaw of the game is the fact that all the songs sound the same. Like, it is all, there's not that. The beauty of Amplitude was one song is Slipknot and one is garbage and one is a rap song and one is whatever. Like, Run DMC was in it. Like, it's just, it was so eclectic. This is not eclectic at all. This is so the same thing, just drum and bass, electronic music, which is great. But I think that's a turnoff to a lot of people.
You stole the words. I was gonna say, which is a turnoff for me. I mean, I'm not. I know this is your game. We're not like debating.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it was like, I did the Let's Play with you where you were playing on like the extreme and crazy difficulty, and I was like, I don't even want to try this. And then I talked to some other people, I'm like, all right. And I came home and I played it on a normal difficulty, and I was like, oh yeah. And it kept reminding me of Rock Band Unplugged, which I loved and was great at. But then it was just like, I don't know any of these songs though, and this just isn't like. I'm not motivated to keep going. Gameplay's, solid. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But for me, the hook wasn't there.
Yeah. And I guess I'm coming in at it with the fact that the hook was already there for me and the fact that I liked those songs. So coming into this, it's like, I just want that gameplay. Like by the end of Amplitude, when I'm just trying to like boost my like stars and all that stuff or bars or whatever it is, I didn't care what song I was playing. I just wanted to do better at it.
Sure.
And that's kind of already where I'm at. And I love the leaderboard system. Like it's one of the first times it is probably the first time I ever cared. And I fucking just climbed that shit. Like even right now, I'm like top 5% in the world.
Nice.
Like, yeah, come at me.
What are you going to do?
Andrea Renee.
Tim Gettys.
She's talking shit. Come on. Does she know who I am?
You talk shit, Andrea Renee.
No, we should play some Amplitude though. It's a great game. But anyway, there's one song from Skullgirls, and it's the only song it's like a jazzy song, and I'm like, it's a different genre, and it's awesome because I'm like, oh wow, this is what I remember from Amplitude of like the variety and shit. And I'm hoping that we get some DLC, and I think we will, and I think it's gonna be really good. But I'm gonna be playing that game for a long time. Like I want to platinum it. I want to platinum it very bad. First game.
Your first platinum of all time.
It would be. The problem is, it was one of those things where I'm like, I started playing, I'm like, I want to platinum this. Then I saw the trophy list. I'm like, I could never platinum this. That list is so hard. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try though. And so now I'm kind of in that thing of like, some of the challenges seem a little out of reach. And the game is kind of designed to like push you back. Like the campaign system gets a little wonky. Like you can't replay a specific song. You have to replay the whole damn career. So if I fuck up one song,
yeah, that's it.
But the whole career is 45 minutes, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. But
after a few fuck ups,
towards the end, when one of the trophies is like beat the entire career on expert without dying or retrying or stopping, and so in one sitting. And I'm like, well, I can't really beat the last songs in one sitting, so.
But
that's
if
my
you
biggest issue
practice
with it.
over and over and over and over again,
so we'll see. I'm
give
hoping,
up this
I'm hoping
dream of YouTube stardom and just focus on that.
I will be the Amplitude master.
There you go.
But anyway, Amplitude. If you haven't checked it out, please do, because I do think that you're our only hope of getting DLC. Next up, Emily is Away.
Ah, yes.
We did a Let's Play of this. Did you play this at all, or did you see the Let's Play? Do you know?
No, I know what it's about, but I have not played it yet. Sounds very nostalgic.
For those of you that don't know,
you'd love it.
Emily is Away it's a Steam game, and it's the story of a high school kid graduating to go to college as he is using AOL Instant Messenger to talk to a girl. Just a
Emily.
girl.
Yeah,
it's not his girlfriend. But then it's kind of the story over 4 years of their AIM conversations. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure type thing, but it's not direct. Like you have 3 options, but you're not really sure where they're going to lead you and stuff. And it's a short game, 50 minutes. I don't want to spoil it for you.
And that was with you and I fucking around,
making
retrying
jokes,
stuff,
doing a Let's Play, whatever. So like real talk, probably 35 to 40 minutes to get through the whole thing. But there's multiple branching stories. I've seen so many people tweet me, be like, "Oh, dude, I got this," and I'm like, "Whoa, really? That sounds cool." One of the greatest ends to a video game I've ever experienced.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it hit me.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah? No, you and I were devastated.
Like,
yeah,
it got us.
It took out our legs for sure.
So bad. Like
that
the
was the
way
thing-
that it happens is just like, oh,
That
no.
Let's Play, I remember we finished it and we're like, let's try again. Let's go back and make this choice and do that and da-da-da. We jumped right back into it.
And the reason I think it's so good is that it is so relatable. Like that story and the doing it brings you back. It instantly brings you back. Seeing the buddy icon, hearing the noises, doing all that. You're just like engrossed in it, and it's disturbing because it's like all the things you fucked up 10 years ago. Playing it again and having a character fuck it up in the same way. And like, I'm like, oh man, this is like, it's too real. Shit's too real.
Too real, I understand.
But again, emotions is one of the reasons you play video games. You know, like having having it affect you and stuff. And I think Emily is probably the most emotional experience I've had with a video game this year.
Interesting. Next
up, this one came very, very, very late in the year to me. This
later than Amplitude.
Yeah.
Really?
No, this winter break for me was like I killed it.
Okay.
Killed it. So I was working on this stream that's happening right now, and I needed a break. So I'm like, I'll play a little bit Amplitude. I'm gonna play a bunch of other stuff on my list right here. But this random game someone tweeted at me called Freedom Planet.
Oh yes, you were talking about.
Do you know about this game, Colin?
No.
All right. No. So Freedom Planet, it came out on Steam last year. They announced Freedom Planet 2, so it's an established thing. Freedom Planet came out on Wii U in late October, I think, on the eShop. I just downloaded it, started playing it based on one tweet from one of the best friends out there. And he was like, Tim, if you love Shovel Knight, you need to play Freedom Planet.
Interesting.
It is to Sega what Shovel Knight is to Nintendo. And I was like, don't know what that means exactly, but my gut tells me it's reminiscent of Genesis side-scrollers like Sonic's and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I loved those games. So I want to check this out. Looked at the YouTube video and I'm like, oh man, this is another one that I'm hoping there's people out there that haven't really got into this yet or checking it out. Cause I think a lot of people are going to be really impressed. Like, whoa, this is exactly what I'd want it to be. Cause I remember when you first saw Shovel Knight, what was your reactions to that?
It was incredible. I mean, I revealed that game. I saw before anyone knew about it, and I was it scratched very specific itches in me. I knew that game was gonna be huge. I fucking knew it from this. That's why I took the exclusive in the first place and wanted to talk to those guys, because I knew that game was gonna be massive for people like me. Mm-hmm. So it reminded me of the old days of when gameplay was king.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of. Yeah.
So this, similarly, it reminds me of Sonic, which means it's not perfect. Like, that's the thing. It has all of the kind of quirks and stuff that Sega games did, but it sounds like a Sega Genesis game sounds. Modernized, in the same way that you hear Shovel Knight, and it's like, NES games weren't really doing that, but it's like, it sounds like you remember them. And I'm like, whoa, this is great. There's multiple characters. It's just kind of like Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. They each have their own different power-ups and stuff. I started playing through, and it's like, there's this ridiculous storyline that like there's animals being taken over by robots and stuff. I'm like, all right, it's Sonic. But what they even nailed even further is they made a game that is reminiscent of my memories of Sonic the Hedgehog growing up, which are the Genesis games and the Saturday morning cartoons. So somehow they melded that together, and there's like an actual plot and storyline with voice acting, like overdone voice acting, and it's perfect because it's so reminiscent of a Saturday morning cartoon. And so it's like they nailed, in the way that Shovel Knight nailed that kind of Nintendo thing where it's like, it's not quite Mega Man, it's not quite Mario, it's not quite Zelda, it's not quite Castlevania, whatever. It's all those little bits and pieces here and there. They nailed that for this, where it's Sonic gameplay at its core, but it sounds like every Genesis game. And the characters play like other Genesis games you remember and stuff like that. And I'm like, and
Comic Zone?
Like, but it's in that style. It's like it does have that look of just like Genesis just looked different than Super Nintendo.
Blast processing, son.
It had that blast processing, and it's all over this. And there's no other game besides Sonic that you see these characters moving and then all of a sudden going into 3D space and going up a half pipe and like running on walls and stuff. And it's like, to be able to do that again in a game that feels solid and is actually like quality, I was like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So Freedom Planet definitely surprised me and came out of nowhere.
What is it on again?
Wii U.
Okay, Wii U.
Yeah, the Wii U eShop and Steam.
Gotcha.
$15, and it's super awesome. Next up, no surprise at all, Mario Maker. Man, I love that game. That's a game I'll be playing for years.
How often do you check in on it? How often do you check in on
it? It's a break game for me. It's like I'm working and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to play a couple levels. The thing that keeps me coming back is how involved the community gets with it and how involved my community specifically seems to be into it. So the people I follow on Twitter, so when you see the Patrick Klepiks and like Dan Riker
everything
and stuff,
him and Dan did with Mario Maker this year was amazing.
It's incredible, and you see that stuff and it's inspiring of just like, wow, this game's really kind of capable of a lot. But then I started following Patrick's like just Kotaku articles where he talks about, like there's these cool levels to check out. There's these cool levels. And I read about it. I'm like, oh man, I need to get into it. I want to play that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll see other people, like just random friends of ours, like being like, oh man, I just made a level. And I'm like, I want to check it out just to see.
Yeah, Boogie, Giant Bomb, all of them. Yeah.
Then I jump in. I'm like, all right, cool. And so it's an in and out type thing. Yeah. All right. But
All right.
I find myself checking in way more often than I thought I would. Still not making levels. That's not my thing. But I think that's kind of the beauty of this game is the fact that there's people out there that enjoy making the levels so much. And there's people out there that hate that, just want to play. And it appeals to both of them equally, I would say. And I love that Nintendo is supporting it and sees it as a platform. And the fact that we've gotten already like 3 DLC updates, like free, just updates of just like, here's new content
and fast,
stuff.
right? They added checkpoints like within what, like a month and a half?
Yeah,
a month?
and that's cool. It's like, it's a different Nintendo than we're used to seeing where it's like, oh, hey, you guys want something? Here it is, you know?
Yeah.
And then they keep adding more of the amiibo costumes or whatever. You don't even need the amiibo. It's just like costumes in the game. And there's all the like celebrity event matches or whatever where they'll do events where every week or whatever they add courses made by specific people or Nintendo made levels and all this stuff. And they have the website so it's easier to find levels and then download to your Wii U later. I think Mario Maker is going to be around for a long time.
Oh,
And
yeah, totally.
I think that it's on my list because I have so much fun with that game. It's Mario.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get better than Mario. So it's like, I don't understand how that game could not be on someone's top 10 list. Metal Gear Solid 5. Again, we're going alphabetical here. People can say what they want about it not being enough Metal Gear or about the story not being good or the gameplay being repetitive or this or that. It's excuses as far as I'm concerned. The game is awesome. Whatever it is awesome. Who cares if it's not this or not that or whatever? And I get that going into it, your expectations are that it is this or that.
Sure.
But what you get is amazing. Like the game is, there's no game that hooked me like that. And can't even remember a game that hooked me like that in the recent years. Like you get in and it's that cycle that we talk about so much where it's just like the gameplay loop is so good and the way that they teach you and the way that they reward you, I'm like, oh my God, it's so awesome. And it's a beautiful game. It's a fun game to watch. I think that's another thing that's key is it's like, even a couple weeks ago, I saw someone was streaming and I'm like, oh, I'll just check into this for a second. And it's like, it's cool to, he's just walking. All of a sudden a sandstorm happens. And it's just like, man, this is a beautiful game. And like the motions are so fluid. The animations are awesome. And this is just character, you know, it might not be the Metal Gear character that you're used to, but I think this game has a very specific feel to it that I don't think we'll ever see again. Like, I think that the style of this game is going to die. And that was a one-off experience. And I'm happy that it happened in 2015. Or in the Blind Forest. Another game. Beat this motherfucker over the winter break. It was good.
But you had played it long ago with the Xbox preview, but I remember.
Oh, I mean, I played it. And then, I was like, I love this game.
Yeah.
And I played a little bit more. I've been playing little by little. But like, I finally played through and beat it. And it's just like, man, most beautiful game that I played this year for sure. Like that art style, that's amazing. And again, it's one of those, it's an easy hit. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, cute, lovable characters. And like when they look like that and the story is meant to make you feel a certain way, they nailed it. I guess that's the best way to put it is like, they really kind of nailed what they were trying to do. It's like a Pixar movie, you know, they're trying to hit you in the feels and they hit you in the feels. In terms of gameplay, I like that it's a Metroidvania game, but it isn't so down your throat of like, this is a Metroid clone. Like the way that the controls are where everything's kind of more like a slingshot than you're actually controlling the character. I thought it separated it enough to make it unique and different than something like Shadow Complex, which is a little bit more like, this is a Metroid.
Right, this is a Metroid. This is exactly, you know what you're getting into.
Exactly. Yeah. This is more like, all right, this is a take on that. And I think that was really cool. Then I got a couple honorable mentions on this list.
Oh, you do honorable mentions. All right.
And I'm giving it to them because some of these games didn't necessarily come out in 2015. That's when I played them. Shovel Knight being one of them. Now, it did come out on the Vita, PlayStation systems, and Xbox One this year, so it does count. But Shovel Knight, oh man. I think that if I had to choose a game that's game of the year, I'd give it to that had it not come out before.
Sure.
Because it's a Tim Gettys game through and through.
That was Colin's game of the year last year.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, it's so it's so Nintendo. You know what I mean? It's Nintendo without being Nintendo, and that's great. They nailed it. And that game is amazing, and I just want more. I want a sequel, and I want more levels, and I just want everything. You know,
you'll get one. I just hope that I know those guys personally, and they're super smart and super talented, and I think that their inclination originally was to do it differently, and I hope that they are smart enough to not do it differently. I know that they want to do a 16-bit game and a 64-bit game or whatever, and like get like kind of go through those motions. I think that was their original plan, but they need to make another Shovel Knight with the exact aesthetic that they made the original one in, and I think that they can do that more easily than they made the first one. I know it was very intensive. Those graphics are hard to make. I know a lot of people think they're not. They're in many ways way harder to make than some of these character models you see in a lot of games because it's just more intensive. That's why Iga's new game uses 2.5D, for instance, instead of pixel art, because it's hard to find artists that can do that kind of stuff. Like Wozniak over there that does the graphics. So, yeah, you'll get a sequel. I hope that when it's announced that they stay where they are.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hope it's the 16-bit thing. Like, that sounds amazing. Having said that, I want a sequel in the same style just as bad, you know? Like, I would want one more sequel and then the 16-bit thing. I don't want to not get the 16-bit thing.
Well, I think you're going to get that. I mean, Shovel Knight's an IP that's going to be established, and those guys made a fucking asinine amount of money, and good for them. Especially based on the Kickstarter money that they made, which was not very much. They just needed to finish it, basically. And these guys have good bona fides. I implore you to think about it differently in the sense that, like, we didn't get Mario 3 until we had Mario 1 and Mario 2 Japanese. And we didn't get Mega Man 2 or 3 until we had Mega Man 1. And we didn't get Castlevania 3, which is considered the best of the classic series by most people, until we got 1 and 2. And we didn't get Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 until we got the original one. Like, it takes time to iterate. If we think Shovel Knight's good.
No.
That's like my whole thing, because Shovel Knight's a great, fucking really good first game. And I can only imagine what they can do with a second and a third one. You know? In terms of refining gameplay and adding little elements and adding more quirks and stuff like that, and removing things like they did with the original Mega Man, for instance. There are things in the original Mega Man like points and a lot of like weird glitches that they just totally threw the kibosh on with the second and third one. Shovel Knight is almost as good as it gets, so it would be fun for them to just go back and do it again. But I think that they're real artists. I don't know that they want to.
Yeah.
But I haven't talked to them in a while, so who knows?
So we'll see. Moving on from that, Star Wars Battlefront, another game that I find myself going back to a lot. And again, these are favorite games, not best games. And a lot of people hate on it and are like, oh, it's empty and whatever. Exactly what I need for just Star Wars fun.
Right.
Again, another beautiful game, another game that I come home all the time and my roommate's just playing. And I'll sit there for a bit, just watch it because it's cool, and then we'll just like tag team playing online matches. Not in a sexual way, Greg.
Well, you said we just tag team and you left the pregnant pause, and I looked over and it wasn't what we thought we were going with.
But yeah, it's cool because she'll just do a match and then I'll do a match, and I like that it's just kind of quick and you just get it in, and you just learn the weapons. The leveling up system is fun, and we've said this before, but it's a really nice casual way in to what an online shooter is these days for someone that doesn't know that. Like I don't know that ecosystem at all. None of that, the matchmaking and the that shouldn't make any sense to me, like perks and all that. So
I've been playing my cards close to my vest here, but like Battlefront not on my list, but I'm with you with everything you're saying. And the fact that for me it is that game that if we weren't here right now doing this stream in the night for this live stream or whatever, right? Kevin could easily ring me up at any time and say, "Do you want to play that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll jump on for 30 minutes, whatever it's going to be." Whereas like the other night, I was getting ready to play. I wanted to play something I wasn't sure, and I saw it, and I was like, I don't know. Let's see what else is here. And I went to Destiny. I was like, oh no. I don't have enough time to get into Destiny, and I haven't played in so long, and where to leave off, and This isn't that, right? This is jump in and like, what level am I? Let's go kill stuff.
Yeah, and even more than that, like I said this before in the Gamescast, like there's like a bunch of single player, just random missions that are just kind of like tutorials for the game. But I mean, it's pretty much best of Star Wars. It's just like, hey, you want to, the speeder bike thing? Yeah, you could do that. You want, you can do all that. Like fly an X-wing through a canyon, sure. And I'm like, great. These are small little doses, like 5-10 minute missions, but it's like I had fun with them.
Yeah.
And this game's the biggest tease. That's the issue with it. It's my tease of 2015.
Ooh.
Where I'm like, I can't wait for a single player Star Wars game. But this was surprising to me that I enjoyed it as much as I did because I don't like multiplayer games.
Yeah, me too.
But I like this. The maps are cool. They don't seem super balanced or whatever, but I'm not a pro player. I don't care. They're fun.
Yeah.
Transformers Devastation. Biggest surprise of 2015. That game was good? What? Who the fuck saw that coming? I wish I could put Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 on this list, but I can't. because the game was a pile of shit. Everyone expected it to be a pile of shit, and then it was a pile of shit. Okay?
Yeah, it just caught me off guard. Then yeah.
But Transformers, it's like you look at it and it's like, this is too good to be true. That actually looks good. And you're like, all right, it's platinum, and they're at this point just putting out so many games. A lot of them really high quality, great games. But then, they had Korra, and that was like the start of like, all right, are they
Can we trust them?
Is there a different division of whatever making games that are subpar?
What does a license mean?
Exactly. And it's like, all right, Transformers Devastation, a game based on the Generation 1 cartoon. Like, how good could this be? Yeah, they're going to get the original voice actors and, use all that stuff. But at this point, Transformers has been doing that for you. Like, even the Transformers movies, the one thing they got right is doing that.
The voices, yeah.
But then you play the game, I'm like, oh my God, this is playing the 80s cartoon. And it is just homage after homage of references to specific episodes. And the overarching story might as well have been one of those 3-part episodes where it's just like, all right, Megatron's doing evil things, go find him. And the game just keeps getting more and more epic in a way that I'm like, again, this is what I remember Transformers being like instead of what it was. Because any battle you've ever seen in Transformers, that was not cool. None of them. Transformers, the movie, I'll give it to that. But none of the show was like ever cool. It's a bunch of motherfuckers shooting and not hitting each other and talking in really awkward
Who cares about
language.
talking?
And this game did what I wanted from Transformers, which is you take 2 toys and you bang them together and see what happens. And Platinum made that into a video game. And it just keeps progressing and progressing and progressing. All the different characters are fun to use. Were they different enough? No. Did I care? No. I'm using Sideswipe. Now I'm using Bumblebee. Cool. I am sold. And the end of the game is amazing. It's one of those just like, all right, this is Tim Gettys' dream shit. So thank you, Transformers Devastation and Platinum Games, for not fucking that up. Earlier I was saying Shovel Knight, one of my ones that I want to give a shout out to because
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. So I'm combining one spot into 2 games, Shovel Knight and Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. Hadn't played Uncharted 2 and 3. Going in, oh lordy lord, fucking amazing games. 2's better than 3.
Nope.
It is.
No.
But man, those games are good. Those games are so good.
Yeah.
So excited for 4. I'm so happy they did the HD collection. I'm so happy they did it the way they did. It looks beautiful. Playing those games, who would know that they're not modern games now? Like, they're just fucking awesome. They definitely hold up. And even playing a little of 1 again, because my friend had never played, again, my roommate, and he was playing Drake's Fortune, and I just watched it. I'm like, man, even that's a fucking good ass game.
Yeah.
That was a long ass time ago. So anyways, you already know about Uncharted, so it's great. And then Until Dawn. The other thing, Colin was right. I'll give that the Colin was right award. I'll never forget you being like, Tim, you need to play this game. I'm like, I believe you. And then eventually we did. Me and Nick sat and we played we did that Let's Play.
The last long ass stream we did.
Well, but even before the stream, like we did a Let's Play of Until Dawn.
You're right.
And we couldn't stop. Like there's never been a time where we played a Let's Play where we're like, all right, and how long was that, Kevin? 2.5 hours? Something like that. We played a long ass time.
You're Until Dawn. Let's Play's 2.5 hours.
I think it's 1 hour, 1.5 hours.
I mean, it's one of the longest
It's long,
Let's Plays
okay.
we've ever done. And it was one of those things where multiple moments, like, do you want to stop? And me and Nick are like, we need to know who has sex. We need to do this.
That's
And so-
what kept you going.
Oh, it definitely did. We never got sex.
I respect that.
Never. It's upsetting. Until Dawn 2. Or maybe my choices. I don't know. But anyways, Until Dawn was a very special game. And I'm not quite as in love with the gameplay as I think you are. I still think that playing the game, watching the game, there's not much of a difference. Like when me and Nick were doing the Let's Play, it didn't really matter who was playing, but it's great. And I think that there's a lot of potential with that as a franchise, and not even so much like I'm thinking like a Final Fantasy style thing where it's not like same characters or same world or whatever. It's just like in the style of this, or you know what I mean? It's this gameplay and it's a story and there's characters and all this shit, but it's not, in that same exact
It's
world.
not what now. Let's pick up with Sam's story and see what horrible thing she's getting into next. You're saying,
Yeah. But even more than that, like it's not necessarily like in the same universe. You know what I mean?
yeah,
like
yeah.
just something that's
Well, this is-
totally.
They're horror movies, right? This
Yeah.
is a horror movie video game, so just make me another horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's the 10. Tim Gettys 10
The Tim
favorite
Gettys
games.
10.
Yeah. I want to give it an honorable mention, like a real honorable mention, to Pagel Blast on the iOS.
You're allowed to do that.
And it came out in November of 2014.
Yeah.
So I can't really count it. But I played that game probably more than any of this. And you saw me.
Yeah.
During convention
Yeah.
season.
And
That's all I
whenever
did.
you had a moment of free time, you were playing that game. Yes.
Pagel blasting away.
Yeah.
God, I love that game.
Yeah.
I want more. Please, EA. Stop making anything else and just make more of that shit.
Close up Madden. Make more pickle.
Colin.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna get my water real quick.
How things going? How things going with the chat and everything, Kevin? How are we looking on money?
We are almost at 45.
Almost at $45,000 on Kind of Funny. Patreon.com/kindoffunny.
$207 away from 6 episodes.
6 episodes of 45. We're very, very close. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, no matter when you're watching this, unless it's way after the fact, January over on patreon.com/kindoffunny is all about Kind of Funny animated series. So please go there, donate what you can, even if it's just $1. We're trying to do 12 episodes of the animated series. Go watch the pilot. Enjoy yourself.
So I have.
Already angry at your list.
All right, let's start. Let's
How many
start again. So
you
there's a clean
can't
break
have-
for Kevin.
Okay,
all right?
sorry. All right, yeah.
You making
sorry.
notes of this, Kevin? Yes.